Hi, my name is Tyler Fornes, and I am the co-host of The Good, the Bad, and the Hunky here on the Voice of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Every week, my co-host Fred Moreland and I discuss all the happenings of All Elite Wrestling and everything going on in the universe of Tony Khan. We talk about Dynamite, we talk about Rampage, and we will talk about Collision when the time comes as well, along with all the appearances outside of AEW from all the best talents in All Elite Wrestling. This is one of the more cohesive wrestling companies in the entire world, and we discuss every intricacy about it, including the unique booking of Tony Khan that is both a huge positive and a major detriment. Check us out every single Thursday here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network.
Hello, do you like New Japan Pro Wrestling? Are you a Shin Nihon freak? If so, check out the Super J-Cast with Joel and Damon on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network.
And even if you fucking hate New Japan Pro Wrestling, listen to the Super J-Cast anyway. Not just for our great show reviews, analysis, and pastrami sandwiches, but there's also usually some dick jokes somewhere in the obligatory opening 30 minutes of absolute nonsense we chat about every single week. That's the Super J-Cast for all the best talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling, crisps, and pornography.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Hey kids, do you like professional wrestling? Well, we like professional wrestling too. This is Shake Them Ropes. I am Jeff Hawkins. He is Chris Novembrino.
Hello.
Oh, get in the mic there.
Okay, I'm going to use
There
my
we
microphone
are.
voice. I was looking up results, but also hello everybody.
Oh, I thought you were ready to go. I could start this over and get you to get the
we're
results.
doing we're doing like the news section. I can like get results up while we're doing the news
That's
section.
true. You can
That's how radio is done, people. I pretend to listen to Hawkins. It's his turn, my turn. We don't really listen to each other. We talk past each other like ships in the night.
we wait for each other to finish talking, and so we can start talking. That's
like
what
tram cars passing over Big Canyon. We never quite meet.
Must you bring everything about your work into the show?
Jeff, you always wanted me to be passionate about work. You're always
I have never said that.
You have. You've been like, yeah.
Oh, we are going to talk employee corporate relations today, Chris, in our news section, by the way.
Oh, yeah, you're really pro-employer, too. This will be fun.
Am I?
I don't know, maybe.
Okay.
We don't really know each other that well.
Well, it's not that. I'm not pro this employer necessarily, but you know, the one that we're going to talk about.
Yeah. Well,
obviously. Lead story: Smackdown will be leaving Fox at the end of September 2024 and returning to the USA Network in a 5-year deal that would end at the end of September 2029. That's 5 years. WWE then sent out a press release to confirm the deal. Neither side released the financials of the deal, but the word is that they will average $287 million over the 5 years, a 40% increase over the $205 million on the Fox deal. However, this has led to a stock decline since Wall Street was expecting a minimum of $307.5 million on the deal, and that number was part of the stock price. The deal includes 4 WWE primetime specials per year on NBC, so they will maintain a network presence, just not weekly. The Raw and NXT deals are not yet completed. NBCU has the right to match any outside deal for the two shows. Initial thoughts, Chris?
USA Network feels like a backwards move in 2024, doesn't it?
Yes, it does to me.
Yeah. Like in an era, like we've been living through a couple decades now of network consolidation and a diminished presence broadly of like live TV feeds. Like it's just less relevant now. We like live in a streaming era. And USA Network is a cable channel. More and more people are cutting the cord. Like that's part of the reason they've been doing Mondo numbers. Oh, by the way, is because they're on Fox.
Yeah, and
Like,
remember when
like,
they moved here, I had concerns about, value over replacement because they were replacing a fairly big hit in Last Man Standing, the Tim Allen show that went off the air and went over to ABC afterwards. And they've been doing over 2.2 million on a Friday night,
yeah,
8 to 10, but Fox didn't want to pay.
right.
Fox is one of those, they have been almost adamant about saying, and it was weird because you get the feeling that they bought something that we said this earlier because they packaged this as a sports product.
They didn't really understand what they bought in the first place.
No,
Yes.
and that's what I'm thinking here. And you get anytime Joe Buck would have to do a live read, it was the most snide read ever on NFL football. They really want to be in the football business on Friday nights, and there are some Friday night football games or whatever, but they want to be sports from say, oh geez, a cat from like Friday night through Sunday. They want to be a sports destination type place. And they thought they were getting more of a sports type presentation because that's how they were so packaged it to them. Ronda Rousey and Brock Lesnar were going to be the big linchpins of this brand, and neither turned out to be true.
Right. And I mean, we don't even know like kind of like what the deeper presentation was like, but I bet you like they kind of like really leaned into like this is an adjunct to UFC sort of thing at that time.
I think so. I think that's what they were going for because Fox was very interested in getting mixed martial arts on the
absolutely.
On the
and we're doing something kind of like that. And I mean, on one hand, I think, especially coming from my Lucha Underground background, it's fairly easy to imagine like a different sort of style of presentation of like WWE that's much closer to combat sportsy. And NWA Power sort of early on was kind of not like doing combat sports, but like kind of was like almost doing more of a federation sort of thing.
Well, it's one of those things also, and we said this at the time when they were pitching, that WWE is masterful at being all things for all people. You want an entertainment show? Oh, look, we got comedy and sketches and all that other stuff on here. Oh, you want a sports presentation? We got that here. We can do more sports type, and then they just give
really
you WWE.
Really, what you need to do is watch some Raw because like you need straight up like don't watch the like edits because you could like really massage things into the edits, but you need to watch Raw like from start to finish for I mean not even like month to month like every single episode. Just do like 12 episodes from a year and watch that, and that's kind of like that's what they were really buying. I mean, I mean, where was Danielson at the time of them inking that deal too?
He was on SmackDown, I believe.
Yeah, he was on right. Like so, like you could even see like we might do more like the yes.
Or no, things. Was he retired at the time or was he back by then?
I think he was back when they were negotiating.
Okay, no, that sounds about right.
I think so. Like. And like the Yesomania, like there's definitely a way to do like a selective edit of that where it seems like the company was always on board with that and that was the master plan.
Yeah.
And it's only if you watched week over week, that like they were dragged into that kicking and screaming.
Look at our demographics. Families love the WWE as wholesome entertainment. That kind of stuff. I mean, that'll sucker any kind of network suit.
Right. But like then at a certain point you have to like stop and go like, okay, wholesome family entertainment. Also, this is an adjunct to UFC. Something isn't like these two things don't really intermesh. And I mean, it also speaks broadly to like WWE's identity crisis, particularly at that time. They really didn't know what that company was about at that point. Like what was the week to week about going back to Brock Lesnar and Ronda Rousey.
But that worked in their favor too, because it was like, we can be what you want us to be, just pay us.
Yeah, right. No,
you can form our identity.
At the time, we called it a really masterful okie doking.
Yeah,
and I think at the end of it, it was a masterful okie doking. It improved WWE's value for when they went back to USA, in which they
the scorned wife took them back. Oh, we'll take you back into this house.
Yeah.
Oh, you're so good for our network right now because of Raw and NXT.
But like, also, I kind of view this as like. This reeks of Vince, right?
Yeah.
Like Vince thinks this is a good idea. Like he wants to go home, Rosebud, that kind of thing. And like he also, I think, likes the idea of being the biggest show on a smaller network rather than being like, yeah.
I disagree. I'm going to push back on this one because I think this was Endeavor, and it was just whoever paid the most was going to get this, and it looked like they had a real motivated buyer in US, in especially because of the Peacock connection, and I think that's a big part of this. Is their streaming service needs WWE to really survive. I am also somewhat intrigued about the 4 WWE primetime specials because WWE's primetime specials on NBC over the years have sucked. There's no other way to put it. They've done like edited WrestleManias. They've done tribute to the troops. I think they're poor is what they are. They're not Saturday Night's main event, and
they need to get treated like Saudi Arabia.
And moving on, and in this day and age, with so much primetime wrestling out there, is it needed? I mean, I don't think it's needed. I don't think specials on NBC, unless it's, they're there to draw people to the Raws and the Smackdowns on USA. So I get that part of it, but
I mean, okay, like if you did, this could be legitimately cool. I don't see WWE doing this, but like, here is how I sort of see like a better deployment of like a primetime special. You do 1 hour, right?
Right.
And you build to a really important title match.
Yeah.
Something like, and you can even have a little bit of like 20, 30 minutes of setup, like let's say Gunther, right? Like it's like we're building like Gunther's big, prestige match. And this will be where he drops the belt or whatever. But we really want to set in stone people with the Gunther story. Let's say like last time we were kicking around like him against Jey Uso. The road to here for Jey Uso and Gunther would be a really interesting 20, 30 minutes. And then you build up to that one match.
Yeah, you do the Ebersol type of video packages with the backstory and stuff.
But I really think, especially on like a primetime special for people who are Laps fans, that's where this is a draw. Focus in on one thing.
Or not even lapsed fans, but people who would be willing to watch. How about that? I mean,
yeah,
because
casuals.
I'm a little
hella casuals.
I've been having a big argument about casuals and lapsed fans and stuff like that. People go, "There's no such thing." Blah blah blah. I go, "Oh, okay." Not in your definition. There aren't fans of pro wrestling who are going to come back one day and go, "Oh my God, I missed this so much." But there are people who are willing to sit there if the product is entertaining enough and the characters on the screen are entertaining enough.
Well, yeah, no, I'm waving because like I feel like I'm like a decent representation of one of those guys at this point. Like not intentionally. Like I obviously at one point was closed captioning professional wrestling, but like yes, you have waning interests, right? Like it's not like obviously I'm still sitting here on the mic after working 7 days straight, but like your interest waxes and wanes, and some things can get you more into wrestling. And some things can turn you off from wrestling. And so yes, in a way, I was sitting at the bar the other night, and I saw a guy in a Hot Rod t-shirt, and we started talking about Piper. Dude hasn't watched wrestling in years, but we had like a conversation about Roddy Piper and that sort of thing. These people are out there. They are gettable eyeballs. They're not going to join your Discord ever. But like if you're running like a wrestling company and you have a tight 1 hour show, they are the type of people who might go, "Oh yeah, actually, the other night I did see that like, that Gunther main event or whatever, and that was cool. It's got a weird name."
By the way, I am drinking Tropical 7-Up Zero Sugar, and
that's a strange flex.
It's new when they're trying this out because they're kind of doing the brand extension stuff for 7-Up now. It is a tropical flavor. I couldn't point you to what tropic it is. It tastes vaguely of mango or guava, but not quite. It's a chemical that tastes like fruit. It's very. I will not be rebuying this. So that's my quick review of diet sodas, which I drink on the reg.
As I said, tram cars passing in the night.
Tram cars passing in the night.
We love each other.
The Hollywood Reporter claimed in a big surprise, Dave's words, that Raw and NXT will be moving away from the USA Network. They wrote, quote, "While the new deal will bring WWE to NBC Primetime and Smackdown to USA on Friday nights, it will also mean the end of Raw and NXT on USA. A source familiar with the Raw discussions tell The Hollywood Reporter that the market for the program is quote-unquote extremely active, with traditional linear networks, streaming services, and quote-unquote unexpected players all interested. Another key to the NBCU deal as far as Peacock goes is that WWE's next day streaming rights, currently under contract to Hulu, is set to expire shortly, and Peacock would make the most sense for the deal. Now, I am going to make a statement, and it's speculative, but I believe it to be true. That Hollywood Reporter story is pure Nick Khan, and he put that in there to try and get bidders. That is Nick Khan all the way, because he did this last time, where it's like, oh, we have a lot of players for this, and some of the streaming and stuff. We'll listen to every, that's Nick Khan's deal. He is the salesman. He is looking to arouse interest from others based on this deal. I do not believe that there are a lot of. I believe they are the same people. I think Amazon would love a crack at this. I think Netflix, getting into live entertainment, might want to crack at this. But I believe what this is basically telling NBC Peacock, you know how we're so important to your streaming service because all you got is Office reruns and occasionally a show like Poker Face? Yeah, we might be leaving if you don't pony up more, because you kind of lowballed us on this Smackdown deal compared to what we were expecting. That's what I think this is.
Yeah, it seems, especially with WWE retreating back to the USA Network, it seems hard to imagine removing Raw from the USA Network. Why would USA tolerate that? And where would it go? Like what from like WWE standpoint, why decouple Raw from USA if you're bringing SmackDown back to it?
Yeah, my thinking is we're going to go back to the Monday, Tuesday thing with Raw on Monday and SmackDown on Tuesday. And that, or maybe even SmackDown on Wednesday to go up head to head against Dynamite.
That would be an interesting move. That would be a really interesting move.
Don't see, they were having this discussion on Wrestling Observer Radio, our friend Garrett Gonzalez, who is runs the other network I'm on. And they're saying, they could do this, that. I don't know if Endeavor has the same pettiness as Vince McMahon. That's the only question I have. I could see them keeping NXT on USA if they're going to continue to get main roster people, but I could see that being the loser here and just sent straight to a streaming service like a Hulu or something like that again, because it's a product, but it's not. Or that could get just into the Friday slot. They could okay, we're gonna have 3 nights of wrestling on USA.
I mean, why not? In a way, the stronger configuration right now would be Raw on Monday, SmackDown on Wednesday, NXT on Friday, because NXT is not a draw right now. And putting it on Friday sort of unburdens it from trying to do numbers.
I don't know about that. It got over 800,000, but that's with that's with Becky Lynch all over this show.
Yeah, I mean. Right.
It's a trick. It's a mathematical trick.
Right.
Is what it is.
I mean, it's kind of like right now, looking at the ratings with Rock and Cena. I don't know that those are, although boy, isn't this super fortuitous as they're trying to renegotiate all this stuff that they suddenly have access to Rock and Cena because of the actors strike.
Oh, yeah. That's, although it didn't come into play on the SmackDown number, which is very interesting. Because you think you'd get more with that, but maybe.
No, for sure. But yeah, I could see that starting to goose the numbers, and certainly live attendance will be up.
Well, somebody in the company spent money, so that means we got to make up for it somewhere else. So there were cuts this week. The big headline one was the only cut from yesterday. Matt Riddle no longer with WWE. Thursday, main roster people who got their notice: Shelton Benjamin, Dolph Ziggler, Riddick Moss, Emma, Elias, Rick Boogs, Aaliyah, Top Dollar, Dana Brooke, Mace, and Mansoor, who had an outstanding Twitch stream. They had that thing was hilarious. Those two were pitching ideas, and some of them were pretty damn good. Some of them weren't, but some of them were pretty good. They had a very enjoyable post-firing stream. I
would watch check that out, because straight up, both of those guys over the last 5-10 years, or however, I like them both. We like Mansoor in NXT. We saw a lot of promise and potential with that guy. The week where he did a match as a face and a match as a heel, and he was actually good in both roles.
Yeah.
It's one of those moments that stands out for me.
His pitch was to work with Cody Rhodes and to get the mask and to have him do the crossroads on Mansoor as a male model, trying to protect his face, and then he gets the nose thing. But he dropped the piece of knowledge that I really enjoyed. It's like, oh yeah, I could never lose on TV because part of the Saudi Arabia deal was that I couldn't lose. I was like, that's awesome, dude. Get that. But let me finish the rest of the cuts here. Shanky, who I think got a raw deal. I don't think he's talented per se, but at least he has personality, and personality goes a long way.
Yeah, for sure.
And then from the NXT ranks, Daba Kato, Chris's boy, may rest in peace. Rest in peace. He's not dead, Hawkins. Quincy Elliott.
He might as well be.
Ikemen Jiro and Yulisa Leon, who was Valentina Feraz's tag partner.
Oh, that's too bad.
Quincy Elliott, they tried a little bit on NXT TV. He was the non-binary wrestler, and then he went on social media and said some not so politically correct things about non-binary people. So he was kind of injury prone. Ikemen Jiro, I don't know. He was a fan favorite at live shows, at least. Yulisa Leon, I don't know about that. Oh, I left somebody off. Oh, I know who I left out. Mustafa Ali. Mustafa Ali was also cut because he was making main roster money on NXT. Even though he's scheduled for this next NXT show on Saturday, he will not be there. So, yeah. Oh, God, I can't believe I omitted that. I must have accidentally deleted it on my list. But yes, the big names, Matt Riddle, Mustafa Ali, Shelton Benjamin, and Dolph Ziggler. Chris, thoughts?
I mean, Ziggler and Benjamin, not the biggest surprises in the world. Certainly guys who probably had to know that they were on the chopping block. Mustafa Ali, a bit of a shock, just because they have been utilizing him recently. Matt Riddle, same thing. They had been utilizing him. He was important when Jey Uso came back, so you kind of wonder if there's something else going on there.
Oh, I don't know if you caught wind of this, because I forget how not online you are these days. Matt Riddle was taken into custody, I believe, last week at JFK Airport. He accused a Homeland Security agent of sexually assaulting him. Riddle was intoxicated at the time.
I see.
I think that just became an untenable situation. I'll go.
He's had a number of issues. No, yes. And you're right. No, like I wasn't on that. Yulisa Leon, Valentina Feroz is kind of the one we liked more. Leon is good.
She had some injuries too.
She has some injuries. And now they also have Lola Vice. Lola Vice, who's great. Like I'd love to see like Feroz and Lola Vice as like a pairing because they have so much personality. Elektra Lopez is but like yeah.
I'll give a few notes on some of these. Sure. Shelton Benjamin is welcome. I love him. Welcome in any federation. Yeah, I'm sorry, totally. He is great. He's legit. Awesome. He'd be an asset to any training area anywhere. And
it makes sense that they're doing like Lashley in this spoof version of the Hurt Business. It annoys me though, because the Hurt Business was so good.
He's a guy who has never gotten his due, in my opinion, ever. Yeah. I mean, he stole some of those Money in the Bank matches. I could see him going back to Japan for a short run in either Noah or New Japan. Dolph Ziggler's an interesting one. Dolph Ziggler, naturally athletic, All-American at Kent State, now known as Kent, but has never been outside of the WWE system. And he lasted there a long, long time. He's 48. Or no, he's 43, I think. Shelton Benjamin's 48.
48, yeah.
Loves doing comedy. Not sure comedy loves him, but he loves doing comedy.
He does not. The microphone does not love him as much as he loves the microphone.
I also think that might have been system. That might have been the WWE system. I don't know. I mean, you're making a face, and I'm not disagreeing with you. I am not disagreeing with you.
Every time we've seen like the breakout promos, right? Like they haven't really been on TV. They've been like in the like less corralled thing, like it was like in the early WWE Network era and all that sort of stuff. But he's got like that one promo.
I don't
know. Nobody believes in me promo.
Yeah. I don't know if Tony would sign him, but Tony wasn't
He
high
signed
on
his brother.
Well, he wasn't high on Cesaro either originally.
Yeah.
Claudio. For me, I would love Dolph Ziggler to do an indie run here and to do like a Bola where he just gets like about 3 or 4 great matches, doesn't win Battle of Los Angeles, but goes to PWG and gets the work rate geeks fired up, that kind of thing. That to me would be fun. I mean, but I could see him,
and that's also a good way to kind of like heat yourself up to go into AEW, so you can kind of come in with street hype or whatever.
And I don't know if he needs another job in wrestling. He has made buku bucks. He lives in Scottsdale, but he hangs out here in LA a lot with the UCB crowd and stuff. So, I mean, I think, all these have 90-day non-compete. So, I mean, he has time to think about it. Maybe he wants to do something else. So we'll see about that.
I mean, I just wouldn't rule out him wanting to at least do a little run with his brother.
Emma gets jerked around, and I don't know why, because she's really good.
Riddick Moss is good too, and Emma's awesome. Yeah, like I
they are a couple, by the way. I don't know.
Yeah, they are.
That.
Yeah, yes. No, I do know that. No, but like Emma / Tennille Dash or whatever. Like she's great,
fun, and she can play the game. But I mean, a lot of these feel like Vince Stink type of cuts, especially Top Dollar. Who, God bless you, he went in there to defend. Why are you cutting B-Fab? How dare you? He got cut himself. None of the other members, by the way, of Hit Row were cut, just Top Dollar. Aaliyah was in the system for 8 or 9 years, and they couldn't do jack diddly with her, and they should have sent her somewhere to train other than the Performance Center, but they get their head up their ass about, we train people the right way type of a thing. Rick Boogs is all look, but he has personality up the yazoo. I'd come out to Hollywood if I were him.
And they kept shuffling around his identity. Like they went for he did a number of different character sort of acts. And yes, like he's kind of all like look and like not like a ton of like in-ring flash or whatever, but he did. I mean, I even remember
that Nakamura pairing was great.
Yeah, he is good. Like it's interesting in this case because these are like not. These are people with like clear assets. Like
they're salvageable, is what.
I certainly like if I was. If I was starting like the 3rd wrestling promotion or whatever, I'd be like looking at these cuts.
Impact will be looking at some of these people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mustafa Ali to me is a no-brainer to AEW. The Chicago story, the ethnic story, the fact that he wants to tell his story still, and he really, I mean, God, you watch some of those matches of his on 205 Live, especially the Buddy Murphy feud. I mean, he has ideas. He knows what he wants to do in wrestling, and he goes out there and performs. And his crime is he's not 6'7", 300 pounds. That's his only crime in WWE to me. Maybe the ethnicity thing with Vince, but who knows? But I could see. I mean, he's gonna get a run in AEW. He's gonna get a shot at it. I think.
I was hearing Michael Cole invoke like a tagline with Rey Mysterio this week that he's like the biggest little man in WWE history or whatever. And I was like, that's the exact problem with like your guys' understanding of like small wrestlers is that like you have to always somehow make them big men or like, scale them up. And like, no, Ali is one of these guys who could have been very, very interesting had he been presented.
Ray doesn't even look small anymore. He just looks wide to me when I see him. It's just one of those weird things. He looks like a miniature version of you ever seen The Running Man with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Oh yeah, of course.
You remember Dynamo?
Yeah.
He looks like a mini version of Dynamo with that mohawk mask he's wearing and stuff. Oh, yes, that's what he needs. He needs to shoot electricity out of this. And Dana Brooke is an interesting case.
And they were also utilizing her too.
She got moved up way too quick. She was a fitness performer, and then she went back to the fitness performance thing and got last place, and that's kind of what soured them on her a little bit on the main roster part.
she was
I could see her
game.
doing some indies. I could see her doing
Yeah.
like or even if Impact were interested in doing that, be willing to do that.
I think she's still trying to prove something to herself, and I think she
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
Like she's
if you
like,
read her social media, she's definitely trying to prove something to herself.
I just kind of got that vibe from like her constant. She really does seem like someone who like believes that she can be a good wrestler.
You know what?
And not like a great one, but like believes that she like can do this, and like
Yes.
I believe her too. Actually,
I think her thing is she gets caught in that trap that happens when you weren't raised in the business and you get trained at the PC and you get moved up to the main roster and you think someone's going to be there to show you how to do things
and smarten you up to like
and
the
smarten
group
you up
dynamic.
to things.
Yeah.
And here's how you work a bigger crowd and, just little things of wrestling and stuff like that. And they expect you to know all these things. And she's like, well, who do I go to for help type of a thing? And it feels like a almost a self-fulfilling prophecy when you fail. It's like, well, you didn't perform up to snuff. It's like, well, nobody told me how to do this really type of a thing. That's what it feels like to me.
Yes, like that. There's not like a lot of, like because of the independent contractor environment and like just like the way WWE is kind of like shaky right now and it has been for years, especially on the women's side. It seems like there's not a great support structure for women coming up to know how to navigate the interpersonal dynamics and the political dynamics. And insofar as there is a network, it is the three horsewomen, essentially. You have Bailey, who does try to do her best to like look out for people, Becky, who does that occasionally, and then Charlotte,
Who does not. Yeah.
who does not. And she's the one held in the highest regard of those three.
Yeah.
Whether or not I think Becky's a bigger draw than Charlotte at this point, or like
Yes.
demonstrated.
Much
But
bigger
like,
star.
but Charlotte's, especially back, a few years ago,
Back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day, very much. If Charlotte wanted it, yes, and if Charlotte didn't, no. And like Dana Brooke was not someone Charlotte, wanted to work with. And like, if you don't have kind of that thing happening, I don't know who else.
Remember, she was mini Charlotte for a while.
Yeah, right. But that's like kind of like always. Yeah, it's not a good
That's
thing.
death.
That's death, right? Like, who does that work out for? I guess the cat.
Oh, here's what I want to talk about. This next thing from Dave. There was a mandatory meeting at the new headquarters on 9/19. First with Nick Khan, Paul Levesque, Kevin Dunn, and Brad Bloom. After that, both Vince McMahon and Ari Emanuel came out to talk. The employees didn't really react to Vince, and he went into character saying, quote, "This is when you're supposed to clap." It was described as a rah-rah meeting where Khan said how the people let go were good people and helped build the company. These are the office workers who were let go previous week. He said it was unfortunate that things happened for them the way they did, but praised their contributions and hard work. It was the first meeting of this specific type since pre-COVID. McMahon was walking with a cane at 78 and recovering from significant spinal surgery. He said that the company had plateaued, which the last year had shown anything but. McMahon said that to reach the next level, this deal had to be made. He called Emanuel his new boss. Emanuel talked about how his daughter, who just got engaged, works for WWE, and that in the past they have represented WWE negotiations. This was all filmed by WWE cameras. Oh, it's the gather everybody around after you fired a bunch of people, meaning, hey, we're all still a family. And you know what? We need to tighten our belts. You know what? We've gotten stale. We need to push some more. We need to that old football coach crap.
Everybody needs to do extra, like that kind of side edge.
Oh, we don't think of you all employees. We think of you all as teammates. That kind of crap. Look, here's my thing. You don't owe your employer anything when you leave, and they're not going to owe you anything when they fire you. So if you're going to leave, if you're going to quit, ask, hey, what do I need to wrap up here, and then go, or just go? Like, the only people you have any kind of loyalty to is maybe when you're actually on the clock and you're actually working there, your fellow employees, to pull your own weight. That's it. There's no, oh man, well, I think of this company as a family. I rail on this all the time, Chris. It drives me insane.
No, you know what word I have become very fond of and use it, like I use a lot more now? Colleague. Like, No, seriously, I'm not even joking. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I tell my coworkers at work, I value you as like a colleague. Like, I literally will say it like that because it's like, no, we're not friends. We're not even like, we're certainly not family. And we're not even friends. I would, yeah, like we are colleagues.
It used to drive one of the law firms I worked at. I would come in and I'd tell my coworkers, I go, look, I have been sentenced here to work from 3:30 in the morning to noon. At noon, I get paroled and I'm out of here. I'm not coming to any reunions. I'm not coming to anything like that. I am here to do my job and to get out of here. That is what I'm here to do. I'm here to put in my time.
And I think you can have, and I strive to have very pleasant, meaningful interactions with my colleagues within the boundary of colleagues, but it also makes it really clear for me now too. It's like, oh yeah, it's not your effing family. Like
we had issues. Like we had issues this week at my job where we hired a new guy and he quit like 2 days later because he got a new job. And I was like, we used to do this and everybody was kind of shocked by this because it never happened to them in this line of work because like, at least in terms of developers and stuff like that, they were all fairly a tight unit who had worked together for a while. And I told them, look, at my other job, we used to take them out to lunch and they used to quit by the end of the day. So I told them, don't ever bring anybody to me until they pass probationary status.
And like,
because I don't want to get emotionally attached to anybody.
It's not sleazy. Like,
no.
I mean, it is no more sleazy than like what WWE is doing here. And if you think that's sleazy, then like, why wouldn't you also then tell people to protect their neck?
Check your mic to see if you unplugged it accidentally. Just
check.
There we go.
Okay,
cool.
No, yeah.
No, that's
protect your neck. Yeah, I
protect your neck at all times. But yeah, it's one of those things where I'm just like, God, I could just see my face if I got the memo. Hey, we're having an all hands on deck meeting where we'll meet the new management and Vince McMahon will come and talk.
And especially with the top dollars, the top dollar story sort of hanging out there too. And like people were chatting about that, regardless of whether they liked working with Top Dollar or not. Like the idea, like he went to stand up for somebody, and like Vince.
Well,
was
this was before. This was the prior cuts when he did this.
Oh,
not this cut.
I thought was he not cut this time?
He was cut this time, but he's the only one that was cut. He's been cut twice now by the company. They cut him, they brought him back, and they cut him again because Michael Cole kept clowning on him on TV. That's
yeah. I mean,
but yeah, it's the same kind of thing. It's like, hey, you just fired half of accounting, and now I gotta go and sit in a pom shaking thing for the new WWE.
And oh, by the way, we appreciate your work. Like, man, I appreciate you is a terrible thing to say to anybody.
Yes.
Because you have to, if you appreciate someone, show it to them. That's not like necessarily giving them money, but like saying I appreciate you, especially if you're then going to like
give me the heads up I'm getting fired.
Yeah.
That would be appreciating.
That would be appreciating me, right?
As opposed to, we don't want to tell them just yet. We need to milk out the last bit of productivity out of this guy for the last 2 days, and then we'll cut him.
Respect and appreciation are demonstrated. They're not stated. Yeah, like saying I respect you. You have to actually do that through actions.
Stadium show for Australia. The Elimination Chamber will be in Perth. That's gonna be a big deal. 60,000 apparently.
Cool.
For a B paper. Yeah, I'm just I got one other news thing. We'll get into Lazy River. Of interest of mostly me. The current K-Manito. Christino K-Manito is? K-Manito is a wrestler in CMLL who is a little person who dresses in a blue-green monkey suit. I love K-Manito. He makes me laugh. So there are clips of him where it's like he's involved in a tag match and he just gets punted by a guy. I mean, he takes crazy bumps and abuse. I mean, I think he's probably about 60 or so by now in that suit. But I mean, he just takes. There's a couple of little people matches between him and another couple of guys too. It's one of those things. It's Mexican wrestling. What do you want? But he has left CMLL over a contractual dispute and is accusing them of fraud. He believes CMLL will introduce a replacement K-Manito on this Sunday show and try to pass it off as the same person. My question is, how will you be able to tell?
I mean, body dimensions, obviously.
Well, yeah, possibly. I mean, the work rate had gone down with old Caminito as he'd gotten older and more injured. Apparently kind of a gangster behind the scenes too. Yeah, I encourage everybody, go Google Caminito, Kemonito, and just laugh because it's ridiculousness. He's actually on my banner picture on X too. So yeah, I love him. Injuries and health things before we go into Lazy River. John Moxley, as you saw on Dynamite, concussed early in that match against Ray Phoenix. Adam Cole, unknown the extent of his injury, but I saw that as soon as it happened when he jumped off the ramp to come run out for the MJF Joe match. Looks like he either twisted his ankle or might have blown out his knee. I don't know which, but they haven't recorded on that. LA Knight sent home from Smackdown last night due to COVID. It's kind of obvious where he was supposed to come out during that segment, and they just kind of went with it. And Luke Gallows recently got his knee scoped per Fightful Select. That's why he's been absent from TV. Also, probably why they survived these last round of cuts, to be honest with you. But yes, the lazy river of wrestling criticism. Whatever we watch, whatever we're thinking about, we can go into it now. You can comment on those injuries now, Chris, as I am going to let you start.
I mean, I'll start with the thing that you made sure to have me take a look at here, which was Asuka and Io Sky.
Yeah.
I thought that match was really good.
I thought that was a lot of fun.
The thing that was also sticking out to me was like how WWE's presentation has such a hard time slotting into like a more kind of serious, like measured sort of like that match didn't follow straight WWE calling because like, you know, like they've worked together so much and like neither of them really want to like necessarily do WWE style per se.
It's so weird because you're watching it and you're going, man, you know, on a main event type of show, like a pay-per-view, if you take away the clown stuff from like the Damage Control and Charlotte and all the interference and all, you know, all the too many Cook stuff, they could have a great match for the title without this. But the problem, of course, is what WWE's main contribution to television wrestling, especially the Raw era during the Monday Night Wars, is that every week feels like this kind of style where they will do the screw jobs and the DQs and the distraction finishes and somebody, you know, and so they feel rote, and so you can't get anywhere doing I mean, pay-per-views are no longer there, whatever, the PLEs are no longer there to settle feuds. They are there to set up the next week's type of television. And so you never get...
And they're doing that with WrestleMania too, which is, I think, like WrestleMania is not the end of the road.
Yeah, you never get the blow-off match where it's just those two people doing it. It's like, okay, here's the blow-off. They've had a good match, and here comes the next person who's going to feud with this person in to interfere, and then rinse and repeat. But give me this for 20 minutes. Just those two. Put a stipulation where nobody's around. Because Io was motivated. Asuka is just always awesome, but Io especially was like that top rope drop, or the top turnbuckle drop kick when she was on the top turnbuckle with Asuka. That was awesome stuff. I really enjoyed that match.
Yeah. No, it was. I knew kind of what I was going to be getting, like, but it lived up to expectations. And then I also kind of knew once I saw Charlotte, I was like, we're gonna get bullshit at the end, aren't we? And we got bullshit. Yeah, yeah, of course.
A little bit. I mean, speaking of which, Vince's hands were all over Raw, and you could tell. I mean, Chad Gable, after weeks of getting built up, gets absolutely destroyed on that show. Originally set for the Becky Lynch Open title challenge for NXT was Tegan Nox, but 10 minutes before the show, Tegan Nox got pulled because, quote, she hadn't been on TV. So nobody's going to know who she is, and she got replaced by Natty. So I thought Tegan Nox was not long for this company, but apparently there might be a plan somewhere in there for her. But I wasn't exactly watching Raw full attention span because there were 2 Monday Night Football games on, and I watch football on Mondays, but going back and watching it, this had the tonal shift of being a Vince show quite a bit for me. SmackDown is less fingers in the pot there. I mean,
I mean, obviously you have Cena coming out to begin that show, and there was that little Vince dig of welcome to another sold out SmackDown, which I thought was kind of like a little slap at other companies that aren't necessarily selling it out. But
I'll let you
yeah,
pick something else because that's all I had for that. Was that just? It feels like feels like Raw has a lot more creeping Vince-ism in there. Although, oddly enough, which one was it? Ivar of the Viking Raiders who was doing the one-on-one match. That match was pretty damn fantastic for a Raw.
yeah. It was Ivar versus Kofi, right? Yeah. That was actually pretty fun, and kind of not what you'd normally expect and like that kind of setup. But let me think. What else? I watched all of SmackDown. Like SmackDown was like the big one that I watched this week. Yeah.
I watched Dynamite. I watched NXT. I watched.
Yeah. All right. Him with some Dynamite takes.
Rampage. Can I be the person to say that this Jericho Sammy story, while fun and predictable, makes no sense? So Chris Jericho turns on the Jericho Appreciation Society, says, I don't need you anymore. You mean go. He wants to go to Don Callis. So he sells out his friends to go to Don Callis. Don Callis rejects him. Says, get out of my way, blah, 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 blah. So he decides to come crawling back to Sammy. Sammy decides to forgive. Hey, guys, sometimes you have to forgive people. Okay, let's go for the tag team championships. Okay, great. So they beat Aussie Open, the red hot Aussie Open, as Excalibur noted on Rampage last night, to which I laughed and laughed and laughed. And they decide, well, and they lose. I think they lose the next match or whatever. I forget. Remind me, how did they decide that they needed to have a match against each other to get past all this stuff?
Ooh.
Because I forgot what it was.
I don't even remember. I mean, I remember that
there was something wrong in there. Or I think it was just they were angry about how the match ended or something to that effect. So they have this promo last week where Chris Jericho stares at him and goes, I'm going to punch you harder than anybody I've ever known. I'm going to beat the crap out of you. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. So we go to the match. And the match is a little bit too long. It's a little plotty. I get it. But Chris Jericho wins the match, which would not have been my choice personally. And then in a running trope all night, they have to do a handshake as well, because we had 3 of those angles on this show on Wednesday. And Sammy kicks him in the balls. Now, I get that this is probably the natural way to do this, is to team Sammy with Don Callis, and I think they're going to be fantastic. But in what way is Sammy wrong about any of this stuff?
Right. I mean...
Sammy's the aggrieved here. He was been loyal this entire time, and this jerk wants to have a fight with him when he didn't want to have a fight.
This is, I mean, I hadn't got this last beat, but boy, that really, like, if he joins Don Callis, it's just like M. Night. Right. It's M. Night Shyamalan twist. Then it's like twist on top of twist for the sake of twist.
Yes. Oh, if you're expecting it, then
right.
You know, because God forbid, straight ahead stories don't work.
And of course, Jericho has to come out somehow looking good in all of this.
Yes.
Narratively, despite I mean, but for the fact that Don Callis commissioned a painting where he was cutting off Jericho's head, he would have joined Jericho, or he would have joined Callis. Yeah.
Did you get to watch Dynamite at all or no?
No, I didn't get to see it at all.
Oh, wow. Okay. So this will be interesting. MJF and Joe was great. It was a great match. But again, it was also ridiculous because here's how MJF won. He took they're having the match. Ref takes a bump, takes the tag rope and chokes Joe out with it. covering his arm over the thing. He hides it in his armpit, and then when the arm is raised, it drops. Adam Cole hides it, etc., etc. Joe shakes his hand after the match. Like, good game, well played. And I'm like, why isn't Joe beating the snot out of this guy? And it's just this adherence to the code of honor crap that we've been doing. Because I get that it was a trope. It was established in. There was the opening match was Eddie Kingston won the Ring of Honor title from Claudio. Also a pretty good match, worth watching. And then Claudio kind of, shakes his hand, throws the title at him, and leaves. That was a fine, that wasn't, hey, we're going to be buddies or respect each other, but here, take your damn title type of a thing. My note on that was I thought it should have been more of a blood feud. I think it was the Japanese strong style match that you think you're going to get with Claudio and Eddie. And I just think there was a little bit too much, for lack of a better term, no selling in there, where everybody's getting fired up, where it should just be those two are on their knees trying to punch each other in the jaw until one of them finally is knocked out type of a thing. I mean, it was a good match. Don't get me wrong. I'm just being a little nitpicky about it. But yeah, the Chris Jericho thing made no sense. They had a ridiculous segment, which I actually thought worked with Roddy and the Kingdom in a hospital, and Adam Cole came to visit. And they got the oldest hospital bed alive for when Roddy put it up, and you just hear that ka-chunk, 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 ka-chunk as he goes up. But there was a line in there that killed me. As much as I don't like comedy as part of my main event thing, when Adam Cole goes in and Roddy's like, Adam, I can't see you. And Adam Cole just goes, open your eyes, Roddy. I was kind of dead on that. Yeah, they're setting up for Wrestle Dream. I watched Rampage last night as well, just to get all the AEW out of the way. To help set up Hangman Page and Swerve, the Young Bucks and Adam Page are now your Ring of Honor Trios title holders after beating the Mogul Embassy. Why do we keep having these ROH titles, Chris, when there's no television?
Yeah, and that they're only being held by AEW people.
Yes. It seems a little ridiculous to me. The match was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, what was the point of buying ROH? Really, the tape library, sure, but like,
I think they wanted a deal on they thought they could get a deal on another channel, and they had no biters.
Yeah, I believe that.
Anything that you watched other than Raw and SmackDown?
No, those are the only two things I was able to watch. Yeah.
NXT was fun too. Or parts of it were fun. They still do some of the dumb stuff that I don't like, but Ilya Dragunov, again, fantastic. Just beat the snot out of Dominic Mysterio, which I really enjoyed. The Heritage Cup matches that we had let's put it this way, Chris, we had a Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate match. It's really all you need. I mean, it's gonna be great. Regardless, they had Joe Coffey and Nathan Frazier, which is also very, very good. Wrong guy went over. Nathan Frazier should have been the guy who won this thing, but it was still very, very good. And the other thing that caught my eye on NXT was we had the Blue Bloods style. JC Jane takes Thea Hale shopping. We'll get a reveal of the outfit this Tuesday. It was cute. It was fun. It wasn't hilarious funny, but it wasn't over the top either. It was JC Jane going, okay, yeah, that's okay. Okay. And and then she looks and goes, that's perfect. I mean, it was what it was. It's story building for Thea going to the dark side type of a thing. That's all it was.
Did Carmelo do anything?
Yeah, Carmelo was part of oh god. Now I need the results. Do you have them in front of you?
I don't.
Okay, hold on. Think of something from the main roster you watched that you liked or didn't like that you can put in here while I look.
Let me see this right there.
See, we had a decent that's right. We had a decent tag match. It was Stratton and Kiana James versus Lyra Valkyria and Becky Lynch. That was all right. Butch and Tyler Bate. I already said Metaphor. Metaphor being ridiculous, dressing up in group costumes for all of these things. Yeah, Hale went shopping. Oh, Lola Vice, your girl Lola Vice was on there.
Yeah, I did. I think I did see
against Roxanne Perez.
Yeah, and Lola's really over still.
Yeah. Like, she's good. She has the MMA background, and this is like she's had less than 30 matches total. I mean, she was really good. I thought. Oh, duh. Carmelo Hayes took on the aforementioned Dom Mysterio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that pretty much led to shoving somebody into Ilya. Ilya comes in and just waylays people because he's great at that. I may actually go to that show next Saturday. It's in Bakersfield. It's about an hour away. Anything in wrestling on your mind? Because I feel like I've given you a short shrift on this lazy river.
No, I don't. Yeah, we did a lot of news, and I mean, outside of that's kind of all I was able to get to this week. So that's kind of where I'm at in wrestling.
So the lazy river was a little lazier. We'll do better next week. You can follow me at CrapGame13 on X. You can follow Chris on Instagram at DOCTOR_NOV. That is Dr. Nove. For those of you who don't know how to spell, you can just follow the show on X or read at Shake the Ropes, all one word. I update that account when the newest episode goes out. We are part of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Shows for all your interests. Mike and JD have joined us. The 5-star match game, Open the Voice Gate, Good, Bad, the Hungy. Whatever your niche is, even if you don't like us, you'll have a show on Voices of Wrestling. I also do a show on Fight Game Media on Wednesday nights, about 20 minutes after we go live on YouTube. Drops next day on the feed for $5 a month. Also, a lot of other shows on there. It's called The Dynamite Show. Very original. What do? We deconstruct Dynamite thoroughly. That's probably why I don't have a lot of thoughts on it this week. So go listen to that. Chris works for a Tramp. He does guitar lessons.
Yeah.
He has plugs. He has things he does.
Yeah, I know. If you want guitar lessons, hit me up on Instagram. As Jeff mentioned, Dr. DOCTOR_NOV. I will be doing multiple days in October here up at the Tram playing live if you're in the Albuquerque area. And yeah, that's it. Hit me up for guitar lessons if you are interested.
See you next week.
Hi, I'm Case Lowe, co-host of the Open the Voice Gate podcast. The one question I'm constantly asked when it comes to Dragon Gate is how do I get into the promotion? Well, stop asking and start listening to the Open the Voice Gate podcast, released every Wednesday on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. For exclusive news and show reviews, look no further than the leader in Dragon Gate coverage, Open the Voice Gate.
Hello, do you like New Japan Pro Wrestling? Are you a Shin Nihon freak? If so, check out the Super J-Cast with Joel and Damon on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network.
And even if you fucking hate New Japan Pro Wrestling, listen to the Super J-Cast anyway. Not just for our great show reviews, analysis, and pastrami sandwiches, but there's also usually some dick jokes somewhere in the obligatory opening 30 minutes of absolute nonsense we chat about every single week. That's the Super J-Cast for all the best talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling, crisps, and pornography.